It cannot be emphasized how pivotal the first scene of a movie is. If the prologue doesn't draw you in from the get-go, don't expect the film to keep your attention for the next 2 hours or longer. But if the filmmakers craft an incredible opening act, they're sure to have the viewer's undivided attention until the credits roll. Creating the prelude of a horror can be a bit trickier, since the genre can't help relying on the same tired tropes. These are 10 horror movies you knew would be good after the first 10 minutes. Number 10. The Host. There are countless movie monsters that were created after encountering a man-made contaminant. The creatures from Chud, Godzilla, Them, and technically the Ninja Turtles all came to be after being exposed to pollution. So when The Host begins with a scene of a scientist dumping chemicals down a sink, it's clear this action will lead to the creation of the film's monstrous villain. Even though we have seen this scene play out many a time, The Host's prologue hits a lot harder, due to the sheer volume of waste that the scientist disposes of. He doesn't just empty a couple of bottles, instead, he dumps a whopping 200 containers of formaldehyde. For the record, 2 tablespoons of this compound will kill a human being. As the camera slowly pans across the room, revealing the staggering amount of poison that's about to be poured straight into the Hans River, your mind goes wild, trying to comprehend what sort of behemoth these chemicals will create. Number 9. The Descent. The Descent centres around a group of spelunkers who decide to explore a cave, only to learn it's inhabited by carnivorous humanoids called crawlers. Because of the premise, it's natural for the viewer to assume the scares in The Descent won't start until the characters enter the cave. So, when the movie begins with our lead Sarah in the car with her husband and daughter, we totally let our guard down. With no warning, the car crashes into another vehicle that happens to be transporting steel poles. The collision causes the poles to fly into Sarah's car, impaling her husband and daughter, killing them both instantly. What makes this scene so shocking is the fact there's no build-up whatsoever. Before we have a chance to process what's going on or who these characters are, 2/3 of everyone on screen is killed off. Although some viewers may have been daydreaming up until this scene, it goes without saying that everyone was paying attention after this moment. As genuinely unsettling as the crawlers are, a lot of viewers were freaked out more by this opening. Number 8. Cube. In Cube, a man called Alderson awakens inside a bizarre cube-shaped room. Each wall is adorned with a hatch-activated door, as is the floor and ceiling. Upon opening any of these doors, Alderson sees it join onto an identical-looking room. But after he takes one step into the next room, Alderson stops dead, figuratively and literally, as we hear an alarming whooshing sound sweep around him. After a few seconds, a grid-shaped pattern shaded in red forms across Alderson's clothes. Before the viewer has a chance to comprehend what just happened, blood begins oozing from lined streaks across Alderson's face, while chunks of his limbs start breaking off. Suddenly, Alderson's body splits into 2, causing his whole body to crumble into cube-shaped blocks. The camera then holds on the culprit, a razor-sharp grating, before cutting to the film's title. We know absolutely nothing about this character, nor is he mentioned again. He never interacts with the ensemble, nor does he speak, and yet we are so curious about what we just saw, it's impossible not to get completely invested in the story. Number 7. Midsommar. Because of Midsommar's 148-minute runtime, it was imperative for Ari Aster to open with a mega shocker to grab your attention. Fortunately, Aster went beyond the call of duty by crafting a gut-wrenching prologue that's sure to stay with you long after the credits roll. In the first scene, Danny rings her neglectful boyfriend Christian after she receives disturbing messages from her mentally ill sister. Because Christian is having a drink with his mates, he dismisses Danny's calls. But when he finally answers, he hears Danny howling hysterically. Now, what we hear is not an ordinary scream. What we hear is a haunting wail coming from the depths of Danny's soul. Because of her inhuman screeching, we know Danny has suffered an unbearable tragedy. But nobody is ready for what comes next. We then cut to Danny's family home, where we see her sibling lying beside her computer table, with a hosepipe jammed down her throat. As haunting as this visual is, it gets so much worse. As the camera zooms onto the computer screen, we see she sent a message to Danny, which reads, "Mum and Dad are coming too. Goodbye." At this point, we understand she's filled the house with carbon monoxide, resulting in the death of herself and her parents. In that moment, you feel your heart break, knowing Danny has lost her entire family in just one evening. Although overly shocking prologues can be gimmicky, Midsommar's opening feels necessary, as it warns the viewer they are in for a very, very uneasy watch. Number 6. The Ritual. Although most horror films open with an exceptionally frightening scene, The Ritual begins with 5 lads in a pub, which can be pretty goddamn terrifying. But as 2 of the friends, Rob and Luke, head to the store to grab some booze, they notice the cash register lying on the ground, bloodied and beaten. As a group of robbers burst in from the back, Luke hides while Rob stays in the open. When the thieves spot Rob, they order him to give them his belongings. After Rob notices Luke has armed himself with a bottle, he assumes his friend is going to save him. But Luke chickens out, giving the robbers the opportunity to bludgeon Rob to death. Because it's tempting for a horror movie to open with haunting visuals, it's refreshing to see the ritual subvert expectations. Even though this supernatural flick revolves around mythical giants and trickster gods, the movie starts to feel like a straightforward drama. But this decision isn't a detriment at all. Instead of potentially alienating the audience with a long-winded explanation about Norse mythology, the ritual begins by focusing on relatable characters who are caught in a grounded scenario. Also, the squelching noise that Rob's cheek makes as the skin flaps open is guaranteed to curdle your blood. Number 5. It. As corny as the 1990 miniseries of It is, it lives in a warm place in many people's hearts, mainly due to Tim Curry's scene-stealing performance as Pennywise the Dancing Clown. No matter how cheesy you find this version of Stephen King's story, it's always frightening to watch the opening scene of Pennywise slaughtering Georgie. But the It remake of 2017 quickly proved it would be devoid of camp and instead focus on brutal scares. Although the scene in the original film cut away before we saw Pennywise kill Georgie, the gore is on full display here. After Pennywise lures the boy closer, the alien clown sprouts multiple rows of jagged teeth which he uses to rip Georgie's arm off. As Georgie tries to crawl away, Pennywise grabs him and drags him into the sewer. Even though Bill Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise is what people remember about this moment, everything in this scene is phenomenal, including the eerie score, the mesmerising cinematography, and Jackson Robert Scott's disturbingly believable performance as Georgie. Above all, this scene demonstrated how merciless Pennywise is when it came to murdering his victims. On top of that, it proved the film had no qualms with showing kids being killed, which is usually a big no-no even in the goriest of horror movies. 3. The Ring. Let's be honest, most remakes are terrible, especially when they're horror. Even though The Ring was hyped beyond measure, a lot of people were worried it would tone down the scares of the original for Western audiences. But the beginning of The Ring proves it knows how to set up a chilling premise. Instead of showing us the footage contained in the video or anyone being killed, the intro focuses on two teenagers, Katie and Becca, discussing the cursed tape like it's a ghost story. When Katie admits she's watched the video, we realise things are about to go south fast. Even though an inferior film would show Katie suffer an over-the-top death with unconvincing CGI, the scene would keep everything grounded with simple imagery. Katie sees her fridge door open by itself, then she spots a puddle of icy water on the floor. She then notices the knob of her bedroom door is dripping. After she opens it, she sees the cursed video playing on her TV before the scene cuts to black. Even though this scene is a whopping 7 minutes long and has no blatant scary visuals, it keeps you gripped from beginning to end, simply by using subtle camera work and a focus on atmosphere. Number 2. Scream. Despite the fact that Wes Craven is synonymous with the horror genre, he struggled to make a hit after A Nightmare on Elm Street. After New Nightmare and Vampire in Brooklyn were shredded by critics, no one was expecting much when Craven announced he was directing a slasher called Scream. Thankfully, the first few minutes of Scream proved Craven was back in his element. The film opens with high schooler Casey talking on the phone with a mysterious caller. When she discovers the caller is a serial killer waiting outside, she realises she's in serious danger. Because Casey is portrayed by Hollywood star Drew Barrymore, viewers assumed she was the lead character, meaning she would survive the ordeal. After all, you're not going to kill off an A-list actor in the first scene, are you? But that's exactly what Scream did. Although the posters and trailers gave the impression Casey was the final girl, the opening scene ends with her disemboweled corpse hanging from a tree. Not only was this scene brilliantly shot, perfectly paced, and deeply unnerving, the casting choice was a masterstroke. After we saw a big name like Drew Barrymore get killed off 10 minutes in, viewers realised no character was safe from getting the chop, which kept us on our toes throughout the whole movie. Number 1. Jaws. 1 second. That's how long it takes Jaws to get your attention. After hearing just a sliver of that John Williams ominous score while the camera pans across the seafloor from the shark's viewpoint, you can't help being transfixed. As mesmerising as the opening credits sequence is, it's the following scene that's responsible for making an entire generation afraid of going into the water. While teenager Chrissy is enjoying her swim in the sea without a care in the world, the camera keeps strategically cutting underneath her. Every time we cut to the shark's POV, the camera edges closer to Chrissy's dangling legs, highlighting the predator is drawing near. As Chrissy is suddenly jerked downward, the contentment on her face dissolves and is replaced with immediate terror. As she tries to swim to safety, her body is pulled in the opposite direction, proving she's now in the maw of the shark. After another bit of helplessly thrashing, the unseen beast drags Chrissy's flailing body downward, sending her to a watery grave. You know what's the most impressive part? This scene left viewers petrified of sharks, even though we never see one. By using tactical camera work, a magnificent score, as well as a pulley to cause the actress to flail around, this scene freaked us out and made us desperate to see what happens next. And that's our list. What horror movie grabbed you in the first 10 minutes? Let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and swing on by our channel again if you want to catch more creepy content. I've been Tilly and this has been What Culture. Thanks for watching and look after yourselves. Until next time, ta-ra!